So we have all heard why carbs are bad, but today I'm gonna tell you why they're not.
Fake health foods, oatmeal. You think this is the best breakfast ever. This is not the breakfast of champions.
If you want to get skinny and look good in a bikini this summer, listen to my weight loss tips.
Healthy grains that have been touted as being cholesterol friendly and heart friendly are actually causing a problem because those grains turn into sugar in your body.
What is in carbs that everyone is worried about? Typically the answers that you'll hear, feel free to answer it for yourself as well, would be just sugar in general, just added sugars, processed sugars or processed carbs or refined sugars. Oftentimes these words get used interchangeably. When people use these words interchangeably, it gets so much easier to get confused on like, okay, what is good? What is bad? What even is it that I'm eating? Natural sugar, what is it? Natural sugar is found naturally in whole foods like strawberries. The next one is whole carbs. Now these are whole grains like brown rice, and it can also be your strawberries. And then we have added sugar like table sugar, and these are the types of sugars that typically get added into your foods during processing. So things like pastries or even pizza is going to have added sugar to it. And then refined carbs are the grains and the carbs that have been stripped of their fiber sources, and these things include white bread, white pastas, and pastries. With processed carbs or refined carbs, things that have fiber removed and added sugar, that's the key there. It's not necessarily the processing. A lot of carbs are processed. Frozen fruits and veggies are technically processed because they're changed from their original form. Let's take white rice. White rice is brown rice, but with the outside fiber removed, and that outside has a lot of, again, the fiber, but also a lot of the other nutrients, the micronutrients. But when you get into the things like pastries where there is a large amount of added sugar and almost all of the fiber, if not all of the fiber, is completely removed, these types of foods can make it harder to stay within healthy caloric ranges, especially if you eat more intuitively and you don't track. It makes it very easy to go over. Does it make it bad? No. Here's essentially why processed carbs get their bad label. First one, generally refined carbs are not great for satiation. When you remove important nutrients and fiber, that will increase your hunger drives. It's not gonna make you feel full. Second reason, they tend to be calorically dense. And then the third thing is that they're also stripped of the healthy benefits, your vitamins, minerals. We need those things physically and mentally. These nutrients play a role in our well-being. So that's why it's really important to not leave them out of your diet. So what's in carbs that's actually helpful? If they have all of these things that are potentially scary and horrible and could kill you, why do we still add them into our diet? What is the benefit of eating carbs? The first thing is energy.
Imagination. All right.
Carbs are our body's main energy source. When we are going to the gym, when we are going for our long walks, when we are going on hikes, when we are doing anything that requires activity, that requires movement, including just simply walking, your body utilizes carbs as its main energy source. But is there a downfall to utilizing the other energy sources, which are fats and protein, and also arguably alcohol, instead of carbs? Obviously there's going to be a downfall for replacing carbs with alcohol, but it does happen. Not the healthiest route, but is it an option? Yes. And do people do it? Yes. If you're drinking alcohol, don't be afraid of carbs. Seriously. So there actually can be downfalls to using protein or fats as your body's main energy source. For protein, your body doesn't prefer this as its main energy source, and that's because protein's main job in your body is to help repair muscle and tissue. So when you go to the gym, that's why oftentimes you're gonna hear eat your protein after. Now the role of fats are that they are important as secondary energy for that like long-term sustainable energy. Carbs also provide micronutrients. Micronutrients are your vitamins and your minerals that you need to survive and thrive in life. So some of the vitamins that you are going to find simply just from your carbs are going to be vitamin C, vitamin A, your B vitamins, potassium, magnesium. And then the final thing that you'll find in carbs that you're really not going to find much of in your protein or your fats is going to be fiber. Carbs are high in fiber when they're not refined, of course, when they're not stripped of the fiber, which makes them so impactful for your digestion, for your health. So for women, it's recommended to get about 25 grams of fiber, and for men, it's recommended to have about 38 grams of fiber. So when you're trying to find balance, which we are going to get into, keep those fiber goals in mind if fiber is something that you tend to struggle with. While pizza might not be the best quality of food in comparison to others, having it in moderation is okay. What counts as moderation depends on your own body's needs. Genetics, current health conditions, and lifestyle choices all play a role in what is seen as balance for you. For most people, eating an occasional pizza here and there a few times a month is considered within balance. For some people, it might not be, but for the most of us who are maintaining our general health, it's okay to eat pizza. So what we're gonna do is we are going to go over an example of a 2,000 calorie diet for the average healthy person, how this can look with finding balance between these processed carbs, the refined carbs. There's 5 million ways that you can actually change this up, but it's gonna be mostly based off your preference. So let me just show you my preference. It will hopefully give you guys some ideas. So breakfast can look like 1 cup of whole grain oats mixed with 1 scoop of protein powder and some almond milk, and then you can top it with mixed berries, nuts, and honey. Now going into lunch, we might have 5 ounces of turkey slices on whole grain bread. We love that whole grain bread because it has more of the fiber in there. Then we'll move on to dinner. We're gonna do another 5 ounces of protein, and we're gonna add this into a big, massive salad. We're gonna throw some croutons on top. That's a little bit of processed food in there, but guess what? It's really healthy, it's really delicious, and it's really not a big deal. So let's move on to snacks and desserts. This is where I'm gonna show you how you can, if you want to, incorporate your pastries in your snacks. I'm not recommending that you do this every day, but what I am saying is that it is possible. Your snack might look like 2 to 3 cookies. It could look like a bowl of cereal. So the key here is that you're not eating a whole container of Oreos like I used to in one sitting. You have balance with it. But the reason I'm saying this is because the goal is progress and improvement. And when you start including it in your diet as just a natural, normal part of enjoyment in moderation, not only are you making improvement, over time you become naturally more balanced. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy those foods, but those constant cravings to have it every day just naturally start to go away. But the point is that if you're someone who feels like they need it every day, here's how you can find balance. And if you're someone who never has pastries and limits carbs, and you want to have the pastries, find ways that you can find balance too. But if you are still worried, I'm gonna tell you about the Twinkie Diet, which is a study that was done by Professor Hobb.
Twinkies, fudge rounds, and Little Debbie snack cakes, not exactly what we'd call diet foods, but a nutrition professor lost 30 pounds eating just that.
This professor for 10 weeks set out on this mission, which isn't necessarily the mission of this video, but he set out on this mission to prove that fat loss and weight loss is absolutely about caloric intake over quality of food. He ate nothing but junk food. I think it was Twinkies, cookies, Pop-Tarts.
He consumed no more, now this is important, he consumed no more than 1,800 calories a day. Howe did this to prove that in weight loss, what matters most is the total calories in the food you're eating.
And he took vitamins, but a majority of his diet was actually just this pure junk food while in a caloric deficit. So all of this high carb and probably high added fat foods as well. The results of this study were that he lost 27 pounds in 10 weeks. His body fat percentage dropped from 33.4% to 24.9%. His cholesterol levels dropped by 20%. I love extreme examples, so this is one that I always really love to reference to because the results of this determine that it is possible to maintain or even improve your health and body fat levels While eating junk food, there are definitely times when you still need to limit your carbs. And it's not because carbs are bad, it's simply because if your body is out of balance with whatever it is you're giving it, you want to find ways to put it back in balance. Oftentimes people do fall out of balance if a majority of their diet contains like the higher processed, less fiber, more sugar foods. But just as much as there can be issues with overdoing your carbs, there can also be issues with not eating enough carbs, and both can have impacts negatively on our health and wellness. But when we are within balance, which balance is a range, your body and your wellness will feel top notch. The way I approach this personally for myself, and you can find the best approach that works for you, about 80% of my diet is going to be those whole foods. I'm going to try to eat a lot of fruits, a lot of veggies, a lot of whole grains, and 20% more or less is going to be probably junk food if I'm feeling it. If I'm not, then I'm not. But if I am, I usually am. And I will go for a bite of pizza. And not only a bite of pizza, I will eat the whole damn pizza. And also, when people worry about things like bread, just remember that we have been eating bread for tens of thousands of years. That has been a staple in diets for so long. It's not this new processed food that just came out 100 years ago.
Up to 30,000 years ago, humans were collecting grain and mixing it with water to create a porridge or gruel. These people were nomadic, moving with the migrations of the animals they ate. After the last ice age, approximately 10,000 years ago, temperatures rose and grasses became a lot easier to find. Now, right around this time in the Fertile Crescent, somewhere around modern Iraq, someone noticed that if you left your gruel out, for some reason, it started to bubble. You could cook it and create a wonderful, portable, fluffy food that can last for days on end and provide boundless energy. Forget that nomadic lifestyle. Now we had a reason to stick around one area for a while, creating towns and cities. And with all that beer and bread we wanted, we needed to grow a lot of grain, which created agriculture.
Just keep in mind that despite all the chaos and the fear-mongering on the internet, our health and wellness has been improving as a society overall as we get more resources and more information. And the information that's coming out is not saying that bread is bad. What it's saying is that we need more fiber in our diet. We need more whole grains and more whole foods. We're gonna start with just the very basics. So the first thing is, when you're trying to find balance for yourself, it's good to know what the average looks like. It is 45 to 65%. And most people need a minimum of 100 grams of carbs simply for cognitive function. This equates about 400 calories coming from carbohydrate sources. Obviously, carbs being your body's main energy source, the need for carbs is going to go up based on your activity levels. Now, if you are someone who is sedentary, you're mostly sitting all day, maybe you go for daily walks, your need for carbs is going to be about 3 to 5 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight per day. If you have moderate activity levels, for example, maybe 1 hour of lifting, your body is going to benefit from about 5 to 7 grams. High activity levels maybe would look like anywhere from 1 to 3 hours of just higher intensity activity. Your body will probably need about 6 to 10 grams. So if you don't want to track and you want to kind of play around with some different ways to find balance for yourself that doesn't have to do with the macros or tracking or percentages.
Another method that you can use that works really well for more intuitive styles is going based off of plate portions. So this second example is essentially based off of eyeballing your food on the plate. These are different ways that you can portion out your carbs on your plate with basically whole grains, fruits, and veggies. And you do not have to follow this religiously by any means, but this will help you kind of navigate your fiber, your sugars, your whole grains, just all of your carb portions. And also remember that this is just a guideline. You do not have to follow this religiously by any means. If you are on a fat loss journey, you may find that the portions that work best for you are the portions for high activity, or vice versa. It really just depends on so many different factors, but hopefully this will help you.
To confirm that you remain healthy and well, continue to get health checkups, continue to check in with your physical and mental well-being, and then don't spend any other unnecessary time stressing about carbs, because that is time that you should be living your life, doing the fun things, going for the hikes, spending time with friends, spending time with your dog. Carbs are not the enemy. Carbs are misunderstood. We can always work towards improvements, and hopefully this video helps you find ways that you can create more balance in your life with carbs as well. All right, friends, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.